go.
Come on! What are you gonna do?
Let's go. Hey, come on.
It's true.
Very well. Grills, chill! Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will if you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay, then. So, first off, let's talk about the murder weapon!
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used the blunt instrument. But what kind of blunt instrument could it have been?
I bet it was an iron pipe.
Interesting.
It certainly would. Poor Chihiro.
Chihiro's fatal. It appears it was.
According to the Monokuma file, what kind of blunt?
I bet it was an iron pipe.
No, that's wrong.
Can we agree that the object that dealt the fatal blow was the dumbbell, found at the scene of the crime? It was covered in...
And the wound on the... As far as I'm confused...
If you don't mind, I will proceed from here. Although, I believe the criminal behind this heinous act is all—
What? For real?
Chihiro's killer, the fiendish serial killer, Genocide Jack. The culprit is Genocide Jack. I'm sure of it. Case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible!
Why? What makes it impossible?
Well, I mean, come on! There's just no proof for it.
No, he's wrong. I might know one reason he could be involved.
What?
I found this file. I guess it's some kind of confidential...
What? That's kinda weirdish.
The why of it is probably more trouble than it's worth. More importantly, it outlines, according to the file, there appear to be two defining. The first is that a
Oh, that's right. Boob lust.
No.
But more important is the other characteristic.
Never made public?
Why don't you...
I got it! Apparently, in every Genocide Jack case, other than the killer, the only...
However, Chihiro is... So, how did the culprit know about this when only high-level police officials were aware of it? There's only one. It's because the culprit in...
No fucking way!
You're saying Genocide Jack is one of us?
Yes.
What?
Genocide Jack's true identity is Toko Fukawa.
Okay, Toko has like phobia or...
Is Toko genocide?
Another riddle. Eh.
Now I understand! Is it because genocide...
Huh?
I think I read that. They thought that the suspect might have...
Oh, okay.
Perfectly acceptable. Toko's strange behavior after...
I got it! You're talking about how she started at...
That's right. Think back.
She was acting funny.
Don't go assigning adjectives to...
Not to mention, once she regained consciousness and saw In other words, within her is one personality that can't handle blood.
So when Toko...
The reason she locked herself in her room, it was to keep her other personality.
What?
Toko was afraid. Afraid of...
Yeah.
I do believe what she's trying to say isn't, how can you know? No. What she wants to know is, how could you tell them?
Huh?
Last night, just before Monokuma gave his motive, she told me she said, a murderous fiend lived within her, and that trepidation is what's caused her to have such a bleak...
This is all a... You said you wouldn't... What? You promised...
You have only yourself to blame. You can't... This is the real world. Besides, you broke your promise first. You said that as long as you were here, no matter what, but in spite of that...
You said if I kept my... That's the only reason I promised!
How many times do I have to tell you? But you weren't able to do it.
I tried!
But your efforts were useless. Well, the opening act is nearly finished.
You...
Hello there! Is it me you were hoping to see? So you figured it out, huh? Well, whatever. what are you gonna do? I'm the ultimate murderous fiend, Genocide Jack! Or better yet, let's go with Genocide Jill!
What the fuck is this?
It's not Toko, that's a loser name, and what happened is a textbook split personality. So what if one of them happens to be a serial killer? You should... Like they say, sound in murderous mind, sound in murderous body.
This one is so different from the one we...
Yes, well, the world is composed of a front and a back unit. Just like how every inning has a top and a bottom, or behind every dark and gloomy soul lives another that shines as bright as the sun!
Miss Jack, Jill?
What's up?
Some of us think you might be the master.
Well, I'll tell you, I am the mastermind of all masterminds! Just kidding!
Of course it's not true. And another thing, the police and government and society, they just let this idiotic bloodthirsty...
Sure, I'm a bloodthirsty maniac, but life is pain, right? To live is to hurt other people. It's a necessary evil if you... Just kidding again!
This should be enough to convince you. There's clearly a motive.
A motive?
Remember what Monokuma... If someone didn't murder and... Well, let's assume that if a secret like that came to light, so she had a very clear motive.
Interesting. But sorry, as much as I hate to admit.
But I cannot imagine. And
Maybe so, but nevertheless it's...
Do you really expect...
Yeah, I could... But I didn't kill anyone!
You say that, but do you really expect...
perhaps if you had an alibi.
Oh, an alibi, huh?
When you compare your past murders to this, the modus operandi matches completely.
No, it's wrong! Are the methods of murder really exactly the same? I think there's a slight difference between...
Huh? How's it any different?
Uh-oh, you don't know? Well then, human garbage, let me tell you! I murder with passion, and I consider myself a professional. Imagine you go to a fancy Italian restaurant. But what happened to Chihiro? It'd be like if that same Italian restaurant started using ragu or Chef Boyardee. This is no
Let me rephrase that. There are two clear differences between... I got it! For one, in the Genocide Jack murders, all the victims were killed the same way, according to the case file. But Chihiro died from... Ah, yes! Wouldn't it be strange for someone who kills the same way without fail? And there's more.
That's right! In my recipe of murder, if the bloody message is the tortellini, then the arrangement of the body would be the pesto sauce!
Could you please stop? So, are you saying that?
I got it! Do you remember what the killer used to suspend her? They used some kind of rope to hang her up by her wrists.
What is your point?
Well, in all the previous Genocide Jack cases, something else was used to suspend them. Specifically, pairs of razor-sharp scissors.
And guess what? I use my own special... Like I said, I'm a professional! And you know what else? Big Mac said there's two differences, but he's wrong!
Big Mac?
Listen up, Big Mac! There's actually one more difference!
Huh?
My word, you really didn't know there's a pattern there! Figure that out, and it'll be plain as...
I got it! Is it because...
Bingo! Well done! Right on the money!
In all the Genocide Jack cases...
They were all...
That's right! The people I killed with such... I can't believe I said it! I'm so embarrassed!
The hell is wrong with you?
I can't help it! I'm just a full-throttle boy-on-boy fangirl! And the mopey side of me just hates it! But now I'm on the fast track to
becoming a full-fledged fan madam!
So, since Chihiro was a girl and not an adorable little man,
Would an Italian chef suddenly start making ramen just because they're both noodles? I have too much passion and conviction to cross that line!
We get it. You've clearly explained it's a different matter entirely.
Quiet, lowly cur!
Lowly cur?
I would never kill for a reason as petty as mere survival. And if by some fluke I did kill to survive, why would I bother with the message and arrangement? That. Plus, whatever reason I have for killing, I would never leave out my prized scissors. Who would go out of their way to use a big...
Maybe you use the
Any scissors? No, just use any scissors.
okay, whatever.
Are you sure about... That's right! So I can kill anywhere, anytime! Why would I resort to dumbbells or rope? Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong! You can't, can you, gutter dogs? Not to mention, I have no clue how to tie a good knot!
I have no idea what's going on in
But the body really was suspended, right?
Yeah. That's why we figured it had to be the real deal and not some copycat.
Here's my answer. Byakuya, it's possible you could have found out, isn't it? You'd have no problem gaining Act Plus. You'd already...
Then the reason you pushed the theory of because you...
So, he rearranged the scene to deceive Joe. Glasses Man was behind it all?
I see. So now the suspicion falls on me. Then I must ask, when would you say I began acting suspicious?
The way you were acting right before we discovered the body. You wanted to go to the girls' locker room.
I should have naturally thought of the boys' locker. The victim was Chihiro, a girl. Hence why I said...
Nothing strange about that, I'd say.
On the contrary.
Okay then, go ahead.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird... how?
If you're presented with the opportunity to check out the girls, that's a natural
The victim was Chihiro. So, of course, I would suggest we check the girls' locker room.
There was no time. What's so strange?
Is she taking me with you?
So, you said but he was acting...
If you're presented with the opportunity, that's a natural reaction.
The victim was Chihiro, who was a girl.
Shoot!
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body.
Shoot!
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird...
If you're presented with the opportunity to check,
That's a natural reaction for... The victim was Chihiro, who was... So, of course, I would suggest we check that there was no time for point... What's so strange?
Wish you'd taken me with you. So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird... how?
If you're presented with the opportunity to check out the...
That's a natural reaction for... The victim was Chihiro. So, of course, I would suggest we check the girl. There was no time. What's so strange?
You wish you'd taken me with you?
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting...
If you're presented with the opportunity,
That's a natural... The victim was Chihiro.
No, it's wrong! I'll tell you what's so strange about that, because up until we actually discovered the body, so your claim that you went to the girls' locker room first because Chihiro was the victim doesn't hold up.
I see. That's a good answer. Interesting. Very... What's wrong? Is that it? Surely you've... What's the matter? You're not...
There is more to it. We just talked about the differences. The proof you're looking for is hidden in there.
Oh?
What? The difference between the cases? You want me to explain it again? When I want to kill, I use my bearing and I use those same scissors to erase... But Chihiro was some kind of rope.
That's right! It absolutely...
then there must be something...
Hey, Byakuya, where'd you get it from, huh?
I'd never seen that rope before in my life.
No, it's wrong! Actually, I'm pretty sure you have seen it before. Because, you see, that rope, or should I say, that extension cord? Byakuya, you've used and the same extension cord that was in the library all this time went missing after the murder. And there's no way someone who uses that extension cord as much as you do wouldn't discover that fact.
And Byakuya must be the one who
That's really what you think? I killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room. I intentionally made it look... Is that about right? What's wrong? I asked...
Hell yes, that's what happened. So that's...
I don't disagree with not disagreeing.
He kept calling this a game, right? So he'd be totally willing to do something like this to win.
So
Do we really need...
I know, there's something that's...
Is that right? And what? I killed her in the girls' locker. Specifically, I dressed it up to make it look like it was the work of a homicidal psychopath. What about all that...
I got it! You say you killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, right? But are you sure about that?
How? What kind of question is that? She was found dead in the girls' locker room. How could the scene of the crime have been anywhere else?
Well, along with the rest of the murder scene.
Rest? That was awfully specific.
I believe...
Hey, don't just move on without...
Come on, Makoto. If there's any chance the murder...
I got it! The proof that she was killed somewhere else. Your proof? The poster in the girls' a picture of a big boob. Why would the girls' locker...
I bet those massive jugs of hers were totally fake!
Meanwhile, a poster of the super popular boy band Tornado. Again, that doesn't really seem to belong in a boy's locker room.
So you're saying...
And there's one other thing you know what I'm talking about.
You're referring to my protein.
protein.
Well, I was in the girls' locker room earlier, but I noticed that after the...
I got it! the stain on the girls' locker. In fact, I found it on the boy.
That's definitely the...
Then, does that mean... But why?
To move the murder scene from one locker room to the other. It's... In other words, the blood-stained poster and carpet were moved by doing this. The killer was able...
I can certainly follow your... Huh? Why would they go through all that? Actually, an even bigger question. Then how did Chihiro get in the bar? To get into the locker rooms, with Chihiro's handbook, she had no way to get into the...
No, she did have a way!
I highly doubt it.
Shut up! I'm telling you,
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really...
She must have hacked her e-handbook! She was the ultimate programmer, after all. I'm sure that would have been...
No, I don't think she used the thing that was in the main hall.
Huh? What thing?
I'm talking about Leon's handbook, of course.
No, it's wrong! No, I don't think...
Why not?
Because Leon's handbook...
Oh.
I am struck silent by...
Plus, isn't there a regulation?
Actually, the rule states that loaning your... In other words, you could borrow...
Yup. Hit the nail square on the noggin.
Of course, if it were broken, that would...
So then, she must have hacked...
Psst. You can't fix an e-handbook. The instant you open one up...
So, if she didn't use...
Maybe Mr. Naegi's initial assumption is just...
It seems like there's no way she could have got into the...
Okay then!
Hold on, I agree with you though.
What the? You finally decided? There's no way she could get in the boys' lock.
Why are you so sure she couldn't get in?
What are you talking about?
Well, why don't we take a little break from the trial?
Wait.
Don't worry. This'll make the whole...
Huh? Well, all right then. Now then, what is it you...
Oh, I have no doubt...
The girls' locker room?
We've already searched...
I'd like you to examine the... Be sure to examine the...
examine her.
No, wait, no.
It's probably... It's not that I'm...
Very well.
But you're a girl.
No, it's okay. So just...
What is this? Some kind of... That's not it at all.
Okay, I'm sorry, Chihiro.
Be sure to check her entire body.
Her entire body. What?
What is it?
Not possible. This
Is what?
is...
I see. So...
You're joking.
I wouldn't...
Really?
Chihiro was...
Oh, what? You got Chihiro Fujisaki?
He was a cross-dress?
So that's what Kyoko wanted to show. Now let's ride this... Ahem. We've all just learned of the shocking...
Yes, well... I don't know his reason for hiding it, but the fact is, Chihiro was not... And because the victim was male, he would have...
Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list his...
Of course his handbook said he was a boy.
So then, there should be no issue with Makoto's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and the killer could have easily used Sayaka or Junko's handbook to get into the...
Chihiro really?
I still don't understand the motive for moving the body.
Well, I knew he felt a little... off. There was a...
This is the most fiddle...
So now everything has...
Okay, well, connected or clear or...
What about you, Makoto?
Well, without a doubt, Byakuya is the one that made Chihiro's, but... I think he might not actually be the... What? But he just seems to be too... easygoing about all this. The way he's acting...
And you think that might be...
Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little too... He consciously chose to use the extension cord, at least. And Byakuya, when you found out the murder took place in the... And then again, when you found out Chihiro was actually... If you really were the killer, that's...
So that's your thinking, huh? It's fine. I guess
Mark it.
he's right. I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room, and...
Are you fucking with it?
No, I am not effing with you right now.
Well, I find it very...
Go ahead. Find it very hard to believe.
If you're really telling the truth, then
My reasons hardly matter now then.
Well,
You're seriously gonna keep going?
No, I'm with Makoto. Because if we're wrong,
that's true.
Damn straight. Do you not have a... Of course I do. What am I, an ant or something?
anyway, let's discuss that.
That's very true.
Our lives are...
Excellent.
I got it!
Isn't there a single clue that might... Well, did nobody get... I'm sure if someone saw the...
Perhaps someone saw the victim.
Yeah. All we need...
It's over. It's all... You wanna know who saw the victim? The killer. And only the killer.
No, it's wrong! I believe someone else did see the victim before.
Now that you mention it, yes. I did see him.
Really?
Oh, but the rest of you had no idea.
Whatever! Just talk...
It was last night. Right. I saw him stuffing a track jacket, and then, I assume...
A track jacket and a duffel bag.
It seems likely that the culprit...
And that is when he said something. Chihiro told me, but why would he be in a...
So, Mr. Fujisaki was on his way to meet with someone.
But Hina and I had invited him to it.
Probably because he was afraid you'd find...
Which means that conversely, he must have enough so that he was...
Oh, what a marvelous friendship!
The point is, whoever he met up with...
But knowing what we know...
no. You already...
Huh?
You know who the...
Who is it?
Think back to the track jack, focus on the details of these items, and it should become obvious who...
Are you sure about that? You really think we can figure out...
Why? You want to...
Even if we have the equipment for that.
As was noted, the evidence...
Maybe, but we can make certain inferences.
Easy for you to... But fine. So the bag was... All the bags in there are the same, so...
Well, if I remember right, there was a decent variety of tracksuits to choose from. Do you think there might be some connection between the culprit and Chihiro's...
Perhaps. Let's explore that and talk a bit more about the jacket he took. First of all, we know where Chihiro was headed.
He was on his way, so next we have to ask, why did he choose this...
What do you mean, the specific...
I got it! It matched the one the culprit was wearing!
So, what you're... The killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him?
No, that's wrong! Hold on a second, Mondo. What did you just say?
Huh?
When Celeste testified... She never said anything, so why did you say...
What are you...
Hey, Celeste.
As a matter...
And before we began
The only one I told...
Then...
Because I'm sure he saw the clothes at some point.
No, the bag and clothes were surely...
Then the only reason he could have known is if he saw Cherry with it before he died! So, how about it? Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you?
Just by chance. He walked past me.
No, that can't be... When Celeste noticed it, Chihiro made a point of making sure the jacket was completely in the bag. If you just ran into him briefly, you couldn't possibly have seen what color the tracksuit was.
It would appear you...
Perhaps. If you handed him the shovel, didn't focus on the tracksuit, and it'll be obvious.
Now your true intention was to... That's why you said you knew who did it.
That's right. However, Mondo was my target all along.
But why?
That's a good question. There was a certain turning point. Maybe you didn't notice it, Mondo, but you tend to you only call guys dude. For girls, it's chick. And after he was killed, once I picked up on that, it occurred to me...
Are you a witch? She's a witch! You're
No. Not nearly as frightful as some...
Mondo, did you really...
I didn't kill anyone! You've been all over me! Judging what gives you the right to treat me like...
Yeah! He would never do something like that!
It's true.
Well, this does...
My time has nearly come. That's what my little ghost friend is telling me.
Oh yeah, that reminds me.
Really?
Actually, you know,
Jeez, is your...
it happens to be an e-handbook. I found it.
I got it! We know Chihiro's handbook was missing from the scene of the crime, right?
For a fact.
I was totally sure I'd found it.
Then it must hold some...
Well, that's what I was...
I imagine the culprit broke it to get rid of any...
That's odd. I didn't...
You're right. They're totally waterproof.
And yet, this one does for all your confidence.
How?
I got it! You already told us before that the hand...
Sure. Maybe I let that slip.
But if the handbook is supposed to never break,
Then we can only assume that you know what the weakness is. I think it's a necessary...
But if I tell you...
Just tell us already!
Oh well. Then allow me to make a special announcement. When it's exposed to high temperatures for too long, it will suffer a meltdown. I flippin' knew it!
You knew it?
Yeah, because I found the The temperature in the sauna can reach over 200 degrees. It's because as your sweat evaporates, it creates a cool... If the hot air of the sauna were somehow pushed directly up, that layer of air would get blown away. So when you're in a sauna...
Interesting.
That is a mere trifling...
Anyway, if you... Then the killer must have been purposely trying to raise its temperature in order to break it.
meaning the culprit
But how'd they find out?
Indeed.
What if they found out?
What do you mean?
What if the killer took their own handbook into the sauna? They'd realize it was broken, of course. And once they had Chihiro's handbook, they...
I won't say it's not. I don't know of anyone.
I might know. I think the one who may have taken their... Here's my answer. Mondo, your handbook.
What?
What? Why do you keep accusing him?
Mondo and Taka had an endurance... And for the contest, Mondo just but little did he realize he'd all... And when it was all over, Mondo just...
No, wait, hold on. I don't accept this. Show me the proof.
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct, then Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
In other words, if Mondo's handbook is actually broken, then that proves that what Makoto said is right.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine!
Shoot!
Let's test Makoto's assertion.
If what he said you broke your own, in other words, if then that proves...
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine!
See? Makoto was wrong after all! Mondo wouldn't hurt a fly!
Let's test if what he said you broke your own. In other words, if then that proves.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine!
See? Makoto was wrong. Mondo wouldn't hurt a fly!
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct,
You broke your own. In other words, if then that proves.
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine!
No, it's wrong! Mondo, the handbook you have right now, is it really yours?
The fuck is that supposed to mean?
The broken handbook that was isn't that
What the heck are you talking about?
what I mean is, I think he took Leon's handbook and replaced. After all, Monokuma said himself that.
That's right!
So then, which would mean that the hand. But doesn't that violate the school regulation?
Well, there is a rule about loaning your hand. It's kind of a gray area, as such.
Well, Mondo, I'm happy to admit I made a mistake.
Son of a bitch!
What's wrong, bro? You are wrong! Everything you just said is...
Okay, then why don't we look back on this case one more time? That way, everything will become clear, and we'll all see. Exactly what happened. First, let's take a look back to before last night, Celeste saw you. At the time, she was apparently stuffing something into a duffel bag. That something with bag in hand, she made her way to the locker room. But how could the victim, who was apparently simple, which is why he was able to use his own handbook. Once inside, he met with someone. It seems likely that the killer grabbed the nearby dumbbell, approached the unsuspecting, and attacked. And that's where the bloodstains on the poster and carpeting. It was likely in the heat of the moment. Which is why the killer hurried to then removing the... finally carrying a girl's handbook, but this alone doesn't After all, using one of those, and that's exactly with the carpet and the post. It changed the layout of the boys and girls. That could have been the end. Byakuya discovered the box. So, after stumbling on the crime scene, he went and grabbed the... He used the... And the killer, having already there, they planned... And just as the killer expected, somehow, the killer and the reason they knew that, and that's how it all... Isn't that right?
Wait! There's your evidence. You need evidence! Without any proof, you can't... Show me some evidence! You're wrong! I won't listen! I refute you! False! You're corrupt! Show me some evidence! I won't listen! False! I refuse to vote! Show me some evidence! You're wrong! I won't listen! I refute you! False! You're corrupt! Show me some evidence!
This should prove it! Mondo must have replaced his broken handbook, in which case, we can just... Once we do that...
You don't gotta do that. Huh? Yeah, I did it. I got no choice, man. After go ahead, Monokuma. Ask for the god.
Roger that!
Wait! Hold on!
No waiting! No time for the moment we've all... Who will you elect as the black? Will you make the right choice? Or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What? Ah! Unbelievable.
Sorry.
What is...
Now then. Actually...
I... Don't fuck with me.
I'm so... Huh? But... I want to change...
You piece of... What? What?
Huh? No!
Thanks to that, I did something I can never...
Yep.
It can't be.
Well now, well now, well now, well now.
Ridiculous!
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment. Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
Sorry, man. I couldn't keep the promise we made.
Naturally.
Well, anyway, like I was saying, this is a pretty good spot. Anyway, isn't it amazing how that girl went and killed someone before things even had a chance? Once things really get moving, fear and despair chop. But I must admit, I went to all the pain and effort of making you part of the group, and you couldn't play your part. You do remember you were supposed to. Well, no biggie. Nothing we can do about it now. So just after all, that's what... As long as you don't want to know... My. I know I said you could ask super denied, ultra denied, and nobody'd be dumb enough to reveal that, right? No matter...
Danganronpa.